For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Telling you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Outwell. So this here is the Outwell Sundale 7PA. So the Sundale essentially is a new design for sort of the 2021 season, but it's very much almost based on something that's been around for a little while now. So if anyone can remember the Outwell sort of Lakeville, this is almost like a slightly detuned version of it. So they haven't necessarily compromised on quality, but you've got the space and the sizing that everyone's known and loved in the Lakeville. What you've also seen is actually that, to be fair, this kind of size has been in the range for a certain while, even back to the old Vermont 7SA. That sort of size-wise works really well. The difference being is that it's definitely more price-orientated now, so it sits in their Prime collection. So the Prime collection basically is actually, to be fair, really well spec'd, and even though it's kind of Outwell's sort of lower spec, it sits above most in many ways, but it's still got core features. So for example, things like you've got this beautiful, really nice green embossed fabric. You know, it runs about 4,000mm hydrostatic head, so it's very waterproof, but you've all got 3 zones. You've got sleeping, living, and then obviously a sort of enclosed front awning section. You also got obviously high visibility guidelines as well, making it very easy to sort of see. Each beam's done individually, so it's quite quick and simple to put up. You can see from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, it took me no longer the best part of about 12 minutes to pitch and peg the whole thing out. And again, it means one person could do it on their own. So in theory, you could take this away for a weekend, let alone a week. Still big features things like wearing storm straps front and back to help give you additional torsion. There's also an additional fiberglass pole that you insert into the roof section in the awning. Again, just to kind of keep it all sort of beefed up. You've got this big sort of tinted windows as well to get plenty of light in, but also to allow a bit of privacy. And then you've got low-level ventilation points down here beneath the windows to help with the circulation of air and sort of help fight condensation. You've got a rain-safe canopy door, which allows you to sort of go into the main living area without having the rain coming down and into the tent. And again, as it sort of suggests, is when it is raining, you can sort of go in and out here because you've got that little bit of covering on the side. And it's just a simple fiberglass pole which you insert. And again, what you find is mesh doors either side as well. So there's lots and lots of talking points here for the price point as well. You've got kind of their Outwell's rigid air system. So it's a really nice oversized valve, very easy to put it in. And they've got a very good Typhoon pump that's supplied with it as well. You've got a really nice sort of ventilation point at the back here, which allows you to get lots of air and help that circulation of point. One thing to mention as well is the fact that kind of what they've done is in many ways in the new kind of colouring. As you can see, the fabric's quite light in the living area. And then you've got a darker roof for the sleeping area. It's designed to hopefully make it a bit darker at night, and it definitely reflects that. But I'll tell you what, we'll have a look on that in a second. The front door, you've got a really nice flexible opening that you can go sort of kind of halfway or sort of fully open. And you get additional zip as well, which you can help create like a little veranda. So it's physically fixed at this point here, but the additional zip will allow you to kind of open up and create a little bit of a veranda, so you've got a bit of airflow, but then keep the dogs or kids quite happily at bay. Alternatively, what we can do as well, we can sort of open this up fully. So, again, you can kind of have it partially open. And then this point we'll unpeg and kind of almost roll back. That way you've got a bit of coverage, but then you've also got the advantage that you can create sort of a wet dry area. So I said you've got a toggle point to hold back. Alternatively, what we can always do is open it up fully as well. As again, you've got a sort of curtains complete inward section here, so you not only got tinted windows, but you've also got curtains to get the privacy as and when you want it to. But certainly by sort of opening up like I'm just doing now, it creates the feeling of an open canopy, but like I said, the flexibility that you can seal it off when the weather does turn. So if you wanted for any reason to kind of increase your internal section, sort of, you know, that's where this becomes very much part of it. Do just a bit of a rush job to get it out of the way. But I'll tell you what, let's swing the camera around and have a look a bit more about what the Sundale has to offer on the inside. So now we're inside of Sundale, you can kind of get a bit more of a feel for certainly the depth of the canopy, but also we're kind of looking to that divisional door between the sort of awning section and then obviously the main living area. Amelia, I must say, to be fair, when you sort of get in here, that little awning depth does feel a bit shorter in comparison to something like the Knoxville or the Wood Lake that's above this in their kind of range, but it's still ample. You know, you've got a decent amount of size to still put a cooking unit or a storage unit happily to one side, somewhere you can open and store it like we have today and just sort of cook out here quite happily. A ground sheet is, when you buy the footprint ground sheet, you then get a ground sheet that goes in this section as well, so that's another reason why it's worth looking at that. You've got obviously the beams itself. They're kind of nice, kind of decent size, almost like oversized beams actually, to be perfectly honest with you. Actually, I'll go back to that ground sheet. There's a ground sheet supplied with this actually, and it toggles up a bit as well. So it's a riser ground sheet, so it helps to make it feel completely sewn in many ways, like a bathtub. You have got the ability that I would still get the footprint to go underneath that to protect that, especially for the main body tent, that would be a recommendation. There is, as we talked about earlier, a fiberglass pole that goes in the top, basically just to help give a bit more torsion to that roof. And it's just, again, not necessarily needs it, but it's quite a nice little thing to have, and you've got an adjustable strap so you can easily get that in and out. You've also got some additional straps that basically keep the beam in position. It's something they've sort of put in their tents over the years, and a nice little addition to it. As I said, the front doors have got windows as well, and that's the same with the sides. So you can actually completely enclose visually the sort of front awning area, which is great for storing stuff, especially when you go off campsite and you want to just have that level of privacy and assurity that all your stuff's sort of out of sight, out of mind in many ways. Into the main living area, you see this divisional door. We've got, it's sort of half and half in many ways, very similar to the front door, but you've got two fully meshed parts. So that's basically your first barrier against kind of the bugs and things like that. So it means you can actually be in the living area, have a table and chairs, play your game of cards at night, have a light on, have to worry about the bugs coming in and spoiling the party. The door can be either rolled, sort of done from half, like I said, or rolled back completely. What you've got as well is this kind of quick and quiet door. So the quick and quiet door is basically a magnetic door that links it, so you don't have to necessarily use a zip every single time you want to go in there. You can just quite happily open it up, and then basically when you walk in, it sort of closes behind you in many ways. So the poppers all go together and does like so. Admittedly, the zip I just did there kind of keeps it in place. If you don't want to use it for that idea, you can just zip that up. And I think from my experience, it kind of works most probably better with the bedroom door than does the middle door. I feel the quick and quiet access, because there's quite a bit of strain lower down, I find that it doesn't always close necessarily down, whereas the back door for the bedroom section closes every single time. As we sort of open up the section from this side, you again can still kind of take it along top, take it along the bottom, and roll that back. If you want to, you can actually split the door in half and create like a little safari tent, so you can sort of upsides the inners and toggle them back either side, so it creates this kind of, yeah, like sort of glamping kind of style. But for me, you know, conventionally, I think it works better this way. You know, having it half open, you've got almost like dead space there, mesh, but then you also got a zip curtain behind this section here to get a sort of, well, complete barrier against kind of the weather. Alternatively, if you want to open up completely, which again I like the flexibility of doing, you can then just roll that whole section back, toggle that back like so, and then you've got a nice flat lip from the awning area into the main living area. That suddenly opens the tent up completely, and then we've got one big nice area, especially when you've got that ground sheet in that sort of first awning bit there and have that front door then sealed. It then means you've got an extended living area, which I think is ideal. You've still got core features in here, things like cable entry points. So beneath here you've got one entry point there, and also you've got, in theory, you could use that kind of front door one in many ways. So you've also got things like their kind of their hook track system. So it's a little kind of clear plastic beading there, which you can buy, where some additional hooks can clamp onto that. So that's basically your hanging point for a lantern. So you clip one on, and then you clip multiple ones on down here to your cable entry point down on the side. I think sort of interior height wise, I'm about 6'2". I can stand, it's a little bit lower in the corners. I mean, you see how far I'm initially away from that. So it's not the sort of most boxiest thing on the market, but again, for the price point it's at, and it's quite a wide width. You know, you're talking about I think it's about 470 width, 480 width. So it's quite a wide span. Admittedly, then it sort of leans in a little bit, but I think still for the mass majority of people with things like furniture or, you know, average sized people, you're not really going to make a difference. For certainly people like taller, like me, in the middle is perfectly fine. It does lose it a little bit in the corners, but I don't think it's worse than, you know, what you can see elsewhere. So what you've also got, as I said, is you've got windows either side in the main sort of living area. Now, in here we've got toggle up and toggle up down curtains with two different options in terms of position. So we can either have it kind of obviously fully down as we like here. We can kind of toggle it halfway, or if need be, toggle it fully up to the top to get an ultimate amount of privacy. Alternatively, like I said, what we can do is just rely on the tinted windows kind of scenario, and then just roll these down into the toggle points beneath it. You can see that sort of, again, that hook track system goes all the way down to the point here, and you find it in sort of the two middle beams in the living area, not the one above the bedroom, and is also actually attached to the one at the front here on the front awning section. Now back into the bedding scenario. So we've got essentially it's a 2, 3 and a 2, which makes a 7 berth. Personally, I feel probably orientates itself better as a 2, 2 and 2, with the middle 2 being, obviously, as you can see, almost like the superior bedroom, if you will. The one is going to be master bedroom, where you know the adult's going to be with a nice big, wide, tall bed. So it's a 140, a 180, and then also a 120. So that area is definitely going to be more your storage area, or for a kid or two, you know, students need space. You've got a quick and quiet feature built in here. Like I said, it works better certainly in the bedroom section, I feel. And again, being on kind of the master bedroom, for me it works nicely because you want the people who are going in and out at night, the latest, is most likely to be the adults. So it means that, you know, you can happily come and go as you please and not have to worry about waking the kids up going, you know, when you want to go into bed. Alternatively, you want to use it more of a conventional door. You can kind of just open it all up, kind of roll that back, and it sort of just then stays open like so. As you can see, basically what you've got in here is sort of dividers. So the dividers are only zip dividers, which you don't often see at this level of spec. So zip dividers along the sides, admittedly not along the bottom, but it gives you a decent amount of privacy, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, you've got the flexibility, you can zip that up, make it as one big open 7 berth, or again, have it as almost, if you wanted a, I don't know, an extra big 2 berth bedroom, take that one out, and then you've got still a decent sized 2 berth on the other side. You've got a little hanging points in the back here for sort of things like a lantern, and you can even droop a little cable around as well to sort of clip things onto. You've got a ventilation point at the back, which again, you've got the option of kind of this little flap, so you can open that flap up, allow the airflow perfectly in, or if you want to get that kind of full-on block out against the light, then you use that point. In the 2 side bedrooms, you've got little storage pockets located down like side here as well, and then you've got little storage pockets on the front, which is also quite a bit of a bonus. In the front, between the 2 awning section, you again little storage pockets to help declutter the main. So for cooking apparatus, and then for anything sort of living purpose, that works really quite nicely as well. Obviously, you've got a brown safe canopy door on the side, and there's a little mesh point at the top here to sort of work with the 2 mesh doors on either side and a load of ventilation. But let's pick the camera up now, have a little bit of a look inside, and just, you know, get a bit more of a better feel for the actual tent itself. So I said, canopy depth is not too bad, especially when you've got enclosed, it works better. You've got a fiberglass front pole at the top, as we've talked about previously, but you've got much bigger panels when you come to the living section. So for sort of views around, you kind of get that 360 view around the campsite much easily, to be fair, much more easier. The system, you can probably just about see that track system running down the beam mean, I can't focus on it particularly well, but you've got a kind of beads down here. You can probably see it just located kind of there. The mesh works really nicely to get that airflow. Then you've got that sort of slightly darker tint. You can see how the bedroom at the top is a bit darker. So when you look out, you can see the difference in terms of light from sort of outside to in. I mean, the green's probably not as dark as probably other ranges has been, but it certainly does a job to make it seem a little bit darker. But admittedly, to be fair, I have got that mesh vent right at the back completely open, just to try to increase as much airflow as possible, and again, just to help sort of fight condensation. But bedroom sizes work really nicely. So you've got a good sort of 4-berth to sort of, well, very generous 3-berth sort of area there. But as we kind of come back and out of the actual tent itself, you can kind of get a bit more feel for the depth in here. Each beam's done individually, like we talked about already. Oh, Christ, that light is absolutely... Go this way. And then you've got a little round south canopy door that works really nicely as well, but sits really well. You can see how taut that roof gets, and that's basically just by pitching it along these webbing storm straps. You've got the ventilation point in the back, so you can again zip it open or close depending on what you want to do with it. And even actually there's a tie point back here, so this whole section can go up to keep that vent pretty much permanently open. You've got it along the whole back, so you want to fully maximise kind of that living area, well, so that ventilation area into the bedroom section, where you do get the worst amount of condensation just because there's more moisture, people are in there for longer periods of time. That works better as well. But again, you can see the sort of, mainly because there's a little bit more light inside, see the slight tint, you can almost see shapes, but you can't necessarily see detail, which is probably one of the benefits. And that sort of really nice tall beam at the front helps to create that sort of better interior height. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's a really nice tent. Something I think that, you know, it's going to be very popular. One we're looking certainly to have on display at kind of our indoor display showroom. If you want any more information about sort of pack sizes, pack weights, floor dimensions, option extras that can go with this model, feel free to check the link below this video, take you straight through to our website where we've got all the information that you need there, as well as let us know what you think of the product. We always love to hear from you guys and see what you think, whether the new design works better than the old. And yeah, it's always great to have feedback, and we always pass it back on to the manufacturers if need be. So that's kind of our little video review on the new Outwell Sundale 7PA, going from 2021 onwards.